Hi guys, it's Larry. I sort of morphed into, right at the end there, the little riff from my rig rundown that I did years ago. Had a lot of comments about that video. People always saying, I'd like to learn that, Larry. And I think a lot of people that watched the Homeskoolin show, that was the first time they saw old Larry right there on that old Premier Guitar rig rundown, which I think is some of the worst guitar playing of my entire life. There's so many clams in that thing. I think I was a little nervous or something, you know? But anyway, just checking in with all you aliens, as they say. Just got home from a long session. Today, day 3 of a 3-day thing I've been doing. Old Home Week. This buddy of mine's studio out in Donaldson. Hey, Ricky D. Doing a project for this buddy of mine that I grew up with, man. This guy from Cleveland named Bobby Gatewood, and played in cover bands with him for years. And we get together once in every couple years and make a record. God, this thing is out of tune. And this is one of those times. We had a blast. We did a bunch of songs, had some fun. I want to welcome everybody who's come over from Otis Gibbs' channel that watches those crazy ramblings that I put up, talking about some of my old bosses. Got a tuner right here. I'm trying to get this thing in tune. So anyway, anybody that came over from Otis' channel, what's up? How you doing? A lot of people said in that John Fogerty one that just posted, what's a hillbilly B7? Well, this guitar is tuned down a half step, so I can't really play it right, but it's this. Which is the first chord you hear on Overdose by AC/DC. But it actually sounds like this, you know, because you're... played it without being tuned down, you know. Okay, so what can we talk about? Do we have some questions? I just feel like playing. I've been sort of noodling around on a guitar for the last 3 straight days. My hands are all ready to play, man. You know how like when you just play and play, your hands just get so loose and limber? That's what I feel like right now. I'm not playing anything good, but that's how my hands feel. Sometimes when you don't pick up the guitar for a few days, you go to play something and you feel like your hands are just glued together. Not today. Okay, what do we got? I put up that Willie Nelson thing, and there were some sweet comments about that. A lot of people thought that it was a tribute to Willie dying, which is not true. Willie is still alive, thank God. I actually have a little gig coming up with him. Funny story, my dear mother, who I mentioned in that, in the video description of that, she loved Willie Nelson, man. She liked the Beatles, she liked Willie Nelson, and she liked the Eagles, but I'll tell you, Willie was her favorite. And she would always sing those Willie songs. And when I grew up in that bar in Cleveland, Ohio, we had a jukebox in there just full of Willie Nelson songs, boy. And On the Road Again, All of Me, I still remember that solo. Something like that. And man, she was always proud of me for the things that I'd accomplished in music and things like that, and I appreciated that. She was very supportive of Uncle Larry. And, I would occasionally tell her about what I was doing, if I got a gig with somebody, and she was always like, "Yeah, that's great, Tom. That's really great. I'm proud of you, honey." But when I told her one time that I got a gig playing with Willie Nelson, I was in a house band backing him up, she couldn't believe it. She was like, "You what?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Mom, I'm playing with Willie Nelson." She was like, "You are?" She couldn't believe it. You know what else I remember her getting excited about that I thought was unusual? I remember one time I was talking to her on the phone. She died several years ago. She was a great old bird. She died, and but I remember back, I used to call her, and I remember when I had first, we chatted up, and, here and there, but I remember calling her one time, and I just happened to mention in passing, I'd say, "Hey, Mom, I paid my house off today," back when I first paid off one of my, houses I bought, which I'm old school. Some people don't believe in paying off houses. They'd rather borrow that money, but I like having something paid off personally, and not having to worry about it anymore. But I remember when I paid that house off, I just happened to mention to her, and she was like, "You did what?" And I said, "Yeah, I paid off my house today." And she was like, "That is amazing." She couldn't believe how cool that was. Because we grew up in this little house in Cleveland, and I think she never paid the thing off. I mean, it's probably worth about $120,000, and she couldn't even get that together to pay that thing off. So she thought it was quite an accomplishment that her son, hillbilly son, was able to get a house and pay it off, And I never thought she would think that was a big deal, but she did. Everybody loved my dear mom. She played this game called Rummy Cub, or Rummy Cube, I guess, RUMMIKUB. It's like a board game. We have a couple of them, and she played that every morning with all her friends that would come and visit her. They all loved her. Sitting there having coffee, smoking cigarettes, playing Rummy Cub. Let's get to some questions. God, this is long. I'm sorry, I'm just rambling. What can we talk about here? If you look back at the last video I used this guitar on, this crazy scratch wasn't on here. And I remember looking at the session. I brought this to the session. We had it in the control room the whole time. And we used it to work out all the songs. And somebody even said, man, there's some weird scratches in the guitar. And I realized it was the guy that I've been working for the last couple of days doing it. He plays left-handed. So he's like, he was picking on it and banging it up down here. And thank God it's a cheap guitar. I love you, Bobby. I'm not mad. I promise. Hell, I don't know. What kind of questions can I? Hey, Uncle Larry. I like the sound of that old nylon guitar. It's very calm and nostalgic. I was just listening to some good slide guitar by Derek Trucks. His phrasing and dynamics are amazing. I know he's not a Nashville cat, but hopefully you run into him. It would be cool to see him on your channel. Yeah, you know, as I've mentioned many times, this guy must be new, but I've mentioned many times on the channel how much I love Derek Trucks, man. Not only one of the best guitar players I've ever seen, but a beautiful guy. I've met him several times. Just a sweet, sweet, sweet guy. I think I told you guys a story about how when I was playing with Trigger Hippie, we did a couple gigs opening for those guys, you know. And man, it's quite intimidating when you're up there doing your set and you look over and Derek Trucks is sitting on a road case watching you, you know. As a guitar player, it's kind of intimidating, but, you know, I threw him a little something to wash. These glasses are messed up. See, this thing just came loose. It looks silly, I know. It's all coming apart. I apologize. I need some proper eyewear. Okay, what else? Oh, one guy said, talking about the Willie Nelson thing, when I played the ghost string, he said, proving that one doesn't need to beat the hell out of an instrument to touch people's hearts. Yeah, man, I feel that. You know, sometimes beating the hell out of an instrument is pretty cool. But yeah, you know, I think people respond to dynamics more than they respond to anything in music. People that don't even know shit about music respond to dynamics, you know. When you keep slapping them around by going up and down, they can feel it. And I think sometimes the way to get people to listen the hardest is to play the softest you can possibly play. And not soft, timid, soft with great intent is the way to make people listen. And then, you know, then you beat the hell out of the guitar and you knock them over the head, stick the knife. One guy said, hey, Tom, I'm very curious to know what it was like to work with Burt Bacharach. The last album he did, Blue Umbrella, was so beautiful. I really enjoyed your guitar playing on the album. Thank you so much, man. Yes, I've talked about it a bit on this channel. He was a joy. What a cool dude. You know, Daniel Tashin is a dear friend of mine that produced that record, and I know he watches the Homeskoolin show once in a while when he's bored. But he told me one time, I might be misquoting this, but he said that, you know, him and Burt wrote all those songs together. And, you know, they recorded a lot of it and worked on overdubs at Daniel's studio and things. And Daniel said that Burt said to him one time, you know, he's not playing that guitar lick the way I really wrote it. And Daniel was like, oh, that's okay. I'll get him to fix it, you know. And Burt was like, no, don't have him fix it because it's actually better than what I wrote, what he played. Or something of that nature. You know, probably misquoting it, but man, that meant a lot. Burt said that I was a good musician. And man, you know, what the hell does he know about music? But man, that's the kind of shit, you know, young Tommy Bukovac growing up, that's all I ever wanted was a little respect from my peers and other musicians. And man, when you hear a guy like Burt Bacharach say something like that, that's pretty fucking cool, if you ask me. What's another one here? A lot of comments about the Otis videos. Yeah, Otis is a really cool dude. Him and I have the exact same demographic of people that watch. We have the exact same amount of subscribers. It's really cool. I think we have a lot of the same audience, you know, here. A lot of just older dudes that just sort of like to reminisce about the old days of music and drink some beer and smoke some weed, which I don't do. Everyone thinks I'm high all the time, but I don't smoke weed. I wish I could. I just can't smoke it. I get super paranoid. I start second guessing everything. I'll smoke a little bit of weed and I'll be like, why did I say that to him? He hates me now. You know, why did I do that? That was a bad idea. I just got to stay away from that shit. I got enough self-esteem issues to begin with. I don't need that shit. It's making me second guess things even more. My buddy Rick that I you know grew up with, that I told you, one of the saddest moments of my life is when I found him dead in his house, you know, last January on his birthday. That boy could smoke some weed. I mean, holy hell. I mean, he would smoke shit that would kill a large animal. I mean, and all day long. And he could function like that. That was like his normal, you know. I suppose it's like me with the beer. You know, people sure say, oh, Larry, you sure drink a lot. Does it affect your playing? This is just, it's like, it's my normal. You know what I mean? So I guess it's just whatever you get used to. I practice when I'm drinking, so of course I can play when I'm drinking. What else we got here? One guy said, not a gut string player, he says. Because I have said in the past that I suck at gut string, and I do. But thanks for saying that you didn't mind that. One guy said, Dear Tom, you are strong in spirit. I often question the meaning of life and why we are here. All the limitations of incarnation, the pains and sorrows, and the joys that ease off this inevitable weight. This reality is sometimes so crude that it makes me think we're almost like pawns on some evil guy's board. Just rambling. See, I'll bet Joe Bonamassa doesn't get comments like this on his channel. You know, I think the homeschoolers they're deep thinkers, man, you know? I think Joe's guys probably just want to learn blues licks and stuff, you know? And these guys are getting pretty heavy on the Homeskoolin channel, talking about the meaning of life and super, you know, want to go down some dark holes here. Okay, let me answer this question. I often question the meaning of life and why we're here. Here's why we're here. To get more gear. That's why we're here on this earth. And all the limitations of incarnation, I have no idea what that means. The pains and sorrows, I know about that. The joys that ease off this inevitable weight. Look, man, I got a little tip for you. Not to get all deep here, but I'm certainly not the first guy to think about this. I believe it's, is it Hindu? There's a religion here that, and Larry very rarely talks about politics, religion. I stay away from all that stuff, and I'm not doing that right now. I'm only bringing this up to say that there's a belief that I kind of line up with. You know, if you come at life with the expectation of being happy all the time, you're in for a lot of heartache. You know, anybody that expects to be happy and gets bummed when they're not happy has a hard road. It's a bad way to go about things. You know, life is amazing, and I look at life like, I think most reasonable people look at life as suffering, but there's these occasional breezes of joy that blow in, that remind you that there is good things, and when when those breezes do come in, man, don't just enjoy them, and don't try to hold on to them too tight, because they're not going to stay long. So, and then you're back to your suffering, right? So, but that's okay to feel that way, because it's a more realistic way of looking at things. Life is hard, man. There's a lot of shit we all have to do that is very hard. And a lot of us have been dealt some really shitty cards, man, and we're all trying to sort it all out. But man, these breezes of joy that come in once in a while, aren't they nice when they happen? This respite from the misery, and something great happens, And I think a lot of the mistakes that some people make is when these breezes come in, they're so excited to feel them, and then they want to hold on to them too tight. And then when they go away, they get super bummed. You can't do that. Every good time you have, is brief, and it's not going to last long. And it's like, that's okay, because there's going to be another good one. You can't expect to hold on to this shit, And just appreciate it. That's the thing. Appreciate whatever phase you're going through, whatever stage you're going through. Appreciate whatever age your kids are. I wish my kids would stay little, because they're so cute. And I love them so much at this age, 7 and 10. I always joke around with them and say things like, don't grow up. Stay little. Sometimes I can't stand the thought of them growing up and not being little anymore. And, but I know there will be other stages that come along that'll be equally as great in their own way, But I'm still going to miss the years when they're little. And that brings up the subject of photos. We all have these computers, and you got, what's it called? The iPhoto deal, right? Where you've got all your photos, right? I mean, I've got millions of photos of my kids when they were little, and I swear to God, I can't even look at them without crying. It's like a torture chamber to look at these old photos, and think about, how they're never going to be that age again. I'm such a sentimental softie and stuff. I just can't take it, So I try to stay away from the old photos. I really can't go there. I'm not alone. I bet there's a lot of you out there that feel that way. It's like, it's hard to look at, But I will say this. I'm certainly not, I've got a lot of regrets in life, and there's a lot of shit that I've fucked up pretty bad. But one thing I'm very proud of is that I have zero regrets about the way that I've raised my kids. I feel like I've knocked it out of the park being a dad so far. I've been there for all the key moments, and I've got friends that are older, that have kids that are grown up, and some of these friends were like workaholics, and they missed a lot of their kids' childhoods, man. And man, I'm getting choked up just thinking about it, but man, thank God I'm not in that boat, because I would never sleep at night, thinking that I missed something. And I've missed enough being on the road here and there, but I've never been gone long enough to really mess anything up, But man, I think it's important, because your kids are only young once, and you really have to be there during that time. When they get a bit older and they're doing their own thing, it's not that big of a deal to go away for a while, but you don't want to miss anything when they're young. No work is worth it. No ego, career building moment is worth missing your kid's childhood. It's just not. So, and that's just my opinion. Hell, some people might argue, but what is this now? A half hour? It'll be like next Thursday by the time I uploaded this. I better hang up now. Okay, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a great night. Talk to you real soon. Okay, Uncle Larry, over and out.